Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Alhamdulillah rabbil alamin. Wassalatu wassalamu ala asyrafil anbiya'il mursalin sayyidina wa maulana Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Subhanaka la ilma lana illa ma 'allamtana innaka antal alimul hakim wa la hawla wa la quwwata illa billahil aliyyil azim. So alhamdulillah, so today I'll be sharing with you on the central role of contemplation in Islam. So have we ever thought, brothers and sisters, ladies and gentlemen, my lecturers, have you ever thought that when sometimes life struck us so hard, right? Life struck us and make us want to run away from everything. We want to run away from what we are doing. We want to hide somewhere else. We want to think. We want to isolate ourselves. That is one part of contemplation that has been done not only by the previous scholars of Islam but also by Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. In fact, we're talking about contemplation. It is one act. Contemplation, we know, okay. Contemplation is the big word, okay, but it can scrutinize into muhasabah. It can be scrutinized into contemplation, into muhasabah, into tafakkur, into tazakkur. So this kind of words are embodied under one word, which is contemplation, right? And it is one role. It holds a big role in Islam. And if you look in the Quran, Allah Subhanahu Wa Taala mentioned multiple times about afala ta'qilun, afala tadabbarun, afala tatafakkarun. Okay, in Surah Ar-Rum, verse 5, Allah Subhanahu Wa Taala mentioned afala yatafakkaru fi anfusikum. Afala yatafakkaru fi anfusihim. Right? Do they not reflect within themselves? So that is kind of contemplation. Reflection is one part of contemplation that we are trying to achieve, we are trying to do in the life. Okay, and not only that, if we remember when we are learning sirah, right? When we are learning sirah, there is one story of the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam when he tried to run away from everything, hide himself in the mountains of Hira, in Gua Hira, right? So that is one thing that Prophet ﷺ do, not only to contemplate, not only to perform ibadah, but also to seek God, okay, to understand the reality. Okay, that's why Prophet ﷺ has did a proper way in addressing the role of contemplation. So sometimes when we are lost, contemplation will come into action. Okay, and after that, after the realization, Prophet ﷺ contemplating in Gua Hira, what happened then in the mountains of Hira? What happened then? The revelation came. Jibril came to him, right? So that is one part that shows that contemplation is one part. If you want something ilham, you want something divine inspiration, go and contemplate. And in fact, we have multiple scholars, a lot of scholars in Islam, okay, especially among the Sufis. For example, Abu Hassan Al-Shadhili, Sidi Ahmad Zarruq, we have multiple. We have Sheikh Ahmad bin Idris, okay, Sheikh Ahmad bin Idris, one of the Ahmadiyah Tariqah, mentioning right about contemplation in their books. And if we could see, they are addressing the role of contemplation that does not being addressed by the scholars of the fiqh, for example. They are addressing from the perspective of the Sufis. And I think it is very interesting, because only by reflection, with contemplation, when you are sitting, you are isolating yourself from others, you could see your purpose of life. You could see the what you are trying to look. That's why we came with three fundamental questions, not by just theoretically, but we achieve it by contemplation. What are you doing here in this world, right? Second, where we are going, and from where we come. What are we doing here? What am I doing here? And where am I going? So these three questions only can be achieved. The answers of these three questions is achievable only by contemplation. So today, I'll be talking about why do we need to contemplate? Why do we need to contemplate in our daily life? Okay, number one, contemplation bring us back to track. Sometimes when we are lost, when we are struck by something that is struck with a lot of work, with a lot of assignments, when we are being rejected by the patient, if we want to collect them, sometimes it came to us that, am I worth living? Right, especially my friends, have you ever thought about it? When sometimes, I mean, it is a patient rejected us from being clerked. Something, it is a big thing. It is a big issue for us. But we are lost after the event struck us. Sometimes we get lost. So we got lost and we don't know what to do next, right? Because we are afraid of ourselves. So contemplation will come into action. Where? How contemplation bring into action? By bringing us back to the track that we are supposed to be on. Okay? So when we are lost, we know that we have the Al-Quran as the compass. We have the Sunnah as the compass. But how to use the compass, how to ponder on the compass, how to really understand how the compass works, that is how contemplation came into action. You can read the Quran, but reading Quran without understanding the Quran cannot do anything. It do give deeds to us, but how it improve our life is depending on how we ponder on the Quran. Of course, with the guide of the scholars. Of course, with the guide of those who knows. Okay. Second one, it improve ourselves. If you remember that our teachers in our school mentioning about when you are about to sleep, close your eyes and put your hands like this. I don't know whether your teacher is mentioning about it, but as my teachers, they mentioned about it, and I asked them why. So they mentioned it about we need every day in our daily life, we need to improve ourselves. But to improve ourselves, we must know what we are lack of. We must know what we are strong with, right? So only with it, only with muhasabah or contemplation, we could see what are lacking in ourselves, what is missing in ourselves, what is our strength. Okay, on contemplation before we sleep, so that why? So that the next day we won't repeat the same mistake, we won't repeat the same sins, but we will multiple times, we will increase the deeds that we've performed previously on that day to the next day. We will increase the achievement that we have achieved on that day. That's the role of contemplation. And not only that, we can see that if we only with contemplation, we can see that we can able to identify the sins, right? The sin that we've done throughout the day. Okay, and if we know the sin, what we have done, we know to perform, to do tawbah, isn't it? Okay, number 3. So contemplation also bring to the realization of the ultimate nature of man, right? Ultimate nature of man. By saying that the ultimate nature and the ultimate purpose of man is not about, I'm saying about the achievement that we are trying to achieve, being a doctor. Yes, we are being a doctor, being an engineer, being a professor, for example. Okay, but ultimate purpose and the ultimate nature of man is when we attain the paradise. The ultimate nature of man when we attain the paradise. Only then with contemplation, we will see that we will arrive to the conclusion that man himself, man is both body and soul, body and a soul. A body cannot function without a soul, and a soul cannot function without a body. But at the end of the day, what will go is the soul. What will bring back to Allah Subhanahu Wa Taala is the deed and the motion that's being practiced by the soul. The good deed, the bad deed, everything comes, everything will be questioned to us. And with that, we know where is our limit. What is our limit in achieving this world, and how we do it in accordance to what Islam has provided to us. Also, one interesting thing mentioned by Al-Ghazali is that contemplation is about realization to know yourself. To know yourself. Previously, I'm talking about the purpose, but now I'm talking about to know yourself. As a what? As man, right? But how? That's why Al-Ghazali came out with one book. If you have heard about this book, the Kulliyyah As-Sa'adah, the Alchemy of Happiness. Okay, this book about to know ourselves. And in fact, multiple scholars, the Sufi scholars, mention about one saying about of the Sufi scholars, man arrafa nafsahu faqad arrafa rabbahu. Those who know themselves, will know their God. Okay, by mentioning it, it does not mean that you need to know that you are consist of muscles, tendon, ligament, consists of this. Only then you know God. No. By saying this word mean, if what a man know that he is weak, then he will know that Allah Subhanahu wa Taala is Almighty. If the man know that they cannot do anything, they will know that Allah Subhanahu wa Taala can do anything. If man know that everything is not in his providence, they will know that Allah Subhanahu wa Taala is the providence of everything. Only this is the meaning of the man arafa nafsahu faqad arafa rabbahu. And improving yourself through this, only by improving only when you know yourself, you know where you are going. Only when you know yourself, you know what is your limit. And only when you know yourself, you could improve for the betterment. So this is the ultimate nature of the ultimate thing, the ultimate purpose of contemplation, to know ourselves back, to realize, okay, what am I? What am I? What am I? What am I? Right. And interesting thing, I cannot elaborate everything here, but I will suggest all of you to read this book. Can see? Al-Ghazali, Kulliyyah As-Sa'adah, Alchemy of Happiness. About this book, cost about 17 ringgit if I'm not mistaken. Okay, so if you are interested to buy this book, I can give you the contact, the link. Okay, very interesting book if you want to read it. And just I want to conclude my sharing today. I'm sorry, okay, this might not be a good, this might not be a broad sharing, because I have to compress everything. But I hope that something that we can learn together. At the end of the day, what we are trying to do, at the end of the day, what we are trying to achieve is not what we achieve in this world only. Okay, I'm not denying it. Okay, we achieve what we can achieve in this world. But the big question is how we bring what we've achieved in this world and adapt it to what we are going to achieve in the akhirah. At the end of the day, that is the big question. What we will bring to Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala. And to realize, to understand about this, we need contemplation. That's all from me. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.